Hey, what is up everyone? And I realized that yesterday when I was taking a look at the /Zaku Phantom and I picked up the Dual Gundam right here, that it was standing beside one of my all-time favorite master grades that I've never taken a look at, which is this right here, the Master Grade Buster Gundam. I know you guys were asking whether or not I would do a top 5 favorites and least favorites for master grades and high grades. Those will definitely take a lot more time to think because there's not a lot of real grades out there, so it's easy to decide which is which. But when it comes to master grades and high grades, it's kind of like picking your favorite song or movie. It just doesn't jump to mind as quickly. I will think about it, and I'll try and get those done at some point. But today I'm going to talk about one of my all-time favorites, which is this right here. Let's check it out. So anyway, here is the Master Grade Buster Gundam out of the box, just snapped together with... Actually, I don't know how much effort. It looks like very little, but at the same time, it looks like I've done something in particular there. So I will mention this is another throwback review. I have had this since it came out, whenever that was. According to DeLong, that was September 2012. So that is 8 years ago, and this thing has held up so well. This is one of the most solid and sturdy builds I have ever made. So this has the, I think it was called the X-Seed frame, which is present in the Blitz, the Dual Gundam, the newest version of Strike, which is the Strike Remaster, as well as this. And those are all rock solid, but out of the lot. To me, this one right here is a brick, an absolute brick, and in a good way, like an articulated brick. So I will mention this is exactly how I built it so many years ago, and this isn't panel lined because I didn't used to panel line my kits back then. So if it does look a little bit washed out in the video, that is why I normally panel line kits, just to make sure all the detail is there to see. But yeah, it seems like, and I'm not sure, but it looks a bit gloopy, so I'm assuming this is the case, that I have painted the clear parts up in the shoulders. This looks like they were actually painted in something like Tamiya clear green, and in probably too many coats in the one sitting because it is a little bit on the gloopy side. But hey, that looks way better than a sticker ever will. But I've heard from you guys that you can actually use Sharpies to do this, so I should try that sometime, see how it works out. So we're going to start off by pulling off those weapons on the back, and we'll leave those for the accessories segment because there isn't really a whole lot of accessories, and it's nice sometimes to see what a Gundam looks like without all of its stuff attached, in case you're thinking of some customs or part swapping with other kits. So one thing I really love about particular Gundam series, for example Seed, Wing, and 00, is the fact that they've got different units for different battlefield roles. Buster right here is the equivalent of Heavy Arms, or Dynames, as it's the long-range, heavy support unit. A lot of this definitely shows in its design because it has a lot of heavy armor plating all over the place, including that huge piece of armor on top of the main cannon on the front of the head. The Buster here has one of my all-time favorite head designs as it's so armored up. The green section on the front there kind of reminds me of the red segment on the front of Heavy Arm's head, but on top of that, the style of the V-fin on here is great. It's in the same color as the head and looks a little bit more like bug antennae. That combined with those armored, well, cheek segments, gives the Buster right here an incredibly unique look. Just like with Heavy Arms, the Buster Gundam is rocking some extra firepower inside of its shoulders. These are nice and color separated. Very nice to behold. There's so many design aspects about this kit that I absolutely adore. It's hard to actually sum them up, well, briefly. The almost layered vibe of the torso is awesome. We've got those gray segments on the front of the chest, which look really armored up. And that matched with the color scheme on here makes this one really militaristic, workhorse looking Gundam. Those cool orange armored sections even work their way down the legs, on the side skirts and the knees. Another thing I just absolutely adore about this design, because it's just so thought out, is the launchers in the shoulders. Those actually have venting round back, which just makes so much sense. That is cool. But anyway, moving on to that full 360-degree spin, and there it is from every angle, so you can check it out yourself. Once again, to see if you want to get one for yourself, if you want to keep it as is, or if you want to customize it. Once again, I just love this design so much. Again, like I've mentioned in a lot of videos before, I haven't watched that much of Seed. I think it was around 16 episodes. But even though I couldn't really get into it, even after that many episodes, I still love each and every one of the designs from that show. And this has to be one of my favorites. The color is very unique. This isn't white, I'm not sure how it will show up in the video. This is actually a very light beige, which goes so well with the dark green and the almost rusty orange. This is such a cool design. So now moving on to the accessories, and here is the Master Grade Buster Gundam with absolutely everything that it comes with, bar the pilot figure. I don't know where that is. I think I know where it is, but it's not here. So what we've got in here is the 94mm high energy rifle and the 350mm gun launcher. Next up then we've got a standard base adapter and a bunch of swappable hands. These are the exact same ones we would have seen with the Wing Endless Waltz Master Grades, as well as the newer Master Grade Seed line. So as for all of the heavy weaponry, it just plugs on into the back of the side skirts, or should I say parts above the side skirts, and then that just attaches onto this little peg here, like so. And just like the rest of the kit, this connection is rock solid. Once again, extremely solid kit. The exact same goes on the other side, just attaches in via a peg into above the side skirt, and then onto that peg on the backpack. When you want to use one of these weapons, you just flip up the arm, disconnect the upper peg, then it just swings under and forward like so. Flip out handle on the side, then swap out the fingers for the standard holding type, and then they can attach onto that little slot in the handle. Which honestly I won't lie can be a little bit on the finicky side. Once you get this lined up, you just pop that bit of armor back onto that segment, like so. So yeah, although attaching it can be pretty tough, it does look pretty badass once attached. This is one huge weapon that pretty soon is only going to get more huge. Onto the other side. So once again, attaching the 350mm gun launcher is just as difficult as with the last weapon. Once you get used to this, it isn't so bad. I advise sticking the fingers onto the handle first, then sticking the fingers onto the hand, then adding the armor back on. It's a little easier to set everything up this way, and once they are set up, this looks phenomenal. These weapons look like they pack one hell of a punch. And once again, once it is all set up, this kit is solid once again, and looks beautiful. So if that is not enough heavy weapon gunnage for you, things get even cooler with this, and this has one of the most awesome weapon-related gimmicks I've ever seen on a Master Grade or a Gundam ever. And that is by flipping this back, twisting this round, then bringing this extra segment all the way forward, then sliding this one back into itself. So if attaching one gun into one hand was hard enough, well, you could imagine attaching two guns together into two hands is even more difficult. So you need to shift the closer hand up one handle, because there's 4 handles on these combination of guns, and then you need to get the forward-facing hand very forward to grab the forward handle. Let's just say it isn't the easiest thing to do. So anyway, there is it combined into one of two forms, and this is the awesomely named Hyper Impulse Long Range Sniper Rifle. And this thing is huge! It's so hard to get it across in a video just how big and awesome this is, but it just is so big and awesome. There is an RX-78 too, for scale. Just slide him in underneath that. That is a long gun right there, and an impressive looking one at that. But that's not it. We do have the other form, which is by flipping this weapon on front to the back, this bigger one to the front, just like we're about to do. So once again, flipping this from one side to the other side is a little bit on the difficult side, but I'm finding, as I've done this a couple of times, I'm getting used to the way that it moves, and it is getting easier to do. This was a lot quicker for me. I did lose a side skirt while doing it, but not so bad. And in the end, this looks incredible. This looks like it means business. This is one hell of a weapon. This time around, this combination is known as the anti-armor shotgun, and this thing looks like it packs a punch. Once again, there it is. Size comparisoned against an RX-78-2 Granddaddy Gundam. By the way, that is the Master Grade 3.0. So anyway, that is all the time I have for today, so that is it for the review. As for the articulation on this kit, I will throw in a couple of test poses in the end spin so you can see what it can pull off instead of showing every individual joint on this. All I can say is this kit is so solid, and the articulation is just as good as what we see on the rest of the kits with that X-Seed frame. That of course would be the Strike Remaster, the Blitz, and the Dual Gundam, all of which are awesome kits and I highly recommend them. So a lot of the actual aspects of this kit should be silver tier. Detail-wise, it is about average for a Master Grade. Articulation-wise, it's about average for a Master Grade. When it comes to build strength, it is ridiculously good, and those weapons are so cool that I feel like this thing is better than the sum of its parts, making it, to me, gold tier, because it does everything so perfectly. It's solid, it's awesome, and has one of the coolest weapons I have ever seen on a Master Grade, which makes this one of my personal all-time favorites. It's a heavy-duty long-range Gundam that actually feels and looks heavy-duty. And just to top it all off, technically, in a way, its color scheme is the Irish flag. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, I recommend getting one. It's so good. Highly recommend. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. Once again, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys. Whether you just watch my videos, like them, or support the channel on the channel memberships and over on Patreon. Like Craig Jerry, Greg Humphrey, Kaiser721, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhardt, Sean T, and the ambassador for asymmetric cats.